Hey! Okay, so today we're going to go over the 11.24 ORP comps. So these are some comps that I've seen challenger players really grinding out to get some free LP. I've tested some of them out to make sure that they're working right and kind of figure out how we should go into them going into the next week. And I'm hoping that you guys can actually utilize these for some free LP before we get the B patch, which I believe will be next week. So, first up, we've got Assassin's Reroll. Now, I've been playing this comp similarly to the Katarina reroll that we were previously seeing destroy us last patch, except rather than rolling on 6, you go ahead and roll on 7, and you really want to stabilize with your Shaco, Echo, Talon, and either Twitch or Katarina until you can get your Akali at 8 and 9. It's a pretty strong comp. It's a good top 4 comp. You can either stack Shaco if you get him 3 stars. If you don't get him 3 stars, then it's best to utilize Katarina as your item holder for Akali, and then push for that Akali 1 going into 8 and 9. Now, Akali's pretty contested right now, and we'll see it again in this next comp, but this is a really strong comp to try. It should get you some free LP, at least in the top 4. The only really weak unit in this is Darius, but you kind of utilize him for Syndicate. I think that the 5 and 7 Syndicate builds are strong for this, but you could probably also push it back to 3, but that'll also kind of bring us more so into the next comp. I like to start Belt and Chain for this, and if not, then BF. I know you should probably you can also do Tier or Rod for Akali, but I've been finding it really important to kind of get those defensive items on early, especially if you can get a 2-star Darius or an Alawi, or if you're lucky to Vi to kind of win streak you through early game. And that kind of goes along with the rest of these comps. So next up, we got the Akali Carry. This is something that, if you're really prevalent on TFT Twitch, Soju was just kind of spamming this to no end and getting free LP the whole first 2-3 days of this patch. I like to start Belt, though Rod, Chain, and Tier are also extremely good starts for this. Tier is probably the best start, just because it allows you to flex in and out of Akali. You play it similarly to the Akali reroll, except then you drop down to 3 Syndicate, and then you sub in your Socialites, your Enchanters, and hopefully a Galio. And then you want to keep your Echo. You don't 3-star your Shaco. This is probably your max cap board of the Assassin reroll, guaranteeing you most likely a top 2 if you can hit that Akali. And if you hit the Akali 2, you're almost guaranteed to win the game. Now, these items right here are the quote-unquote best in slot Akali items, but realistically, if you put Akali on your board, you don't need best in slot. She's just broken. So best in slot's kind of fake. People put IE on her, people put Death Cap on her, people put Gunblade. The only thing I think is really important is Archangels. Archangels is huge on Akali, and then second most important, though not necessary, is your Guardian Angel. Guardian Angel is really big, Archangel is really big. Third item is really whatever you want to put on it, and slamming those items also allows you to flex between Akali, Invictor, and Heimerdinger, and all of those carries. Next up, we've got Warwick Reroll. Now this is pretty much the same exact comp as what we were used to last patch, except it is equally as strong, if not stronger, because Chemtech is so strong. Now we got Tom, Victor as our kind of legendary tier, more expensive. These don't have to be put into the comp. You could put in a Trundle for your Tom Kench, put in an Urgot for your Victor. You can put in a Singed for your Victor if you're running on a budget. But Warwick is extremely strong. You want to item stack on Warwick, you're pretty much guaranteed at least a top 5 if you have a QSS. If you don't have QSS on Warwick, you're going to be really hurting. So really prioritize QSS and bows, which is why for the items to start, I like to start Cloak and Bow. Chain is your last resort, but it's still good because it at least allows you to get a Titans. But Cloak and Bow are extremely strong. If you get early bow tier, go ahead and throw down that Shiv on whatever your temporary carry is going to be. That'll help you win streak through stage 2 into stage 3. And yeah, you want to roll down on 6 for your Warwicks, your Vi's, and your Lissandra and Zyras, and your Quins, really. So every single 2-cost unit, you're pretty much guaranteed to hit at least 2 of these at 3 stars. It's pretty common when I'm running this comp that I get a Warwick and a Zyra 3-star, if not a Warwick, Quinn, and Zyra 3-star. Now Zyra's going to be a little bit harder to hit because Syndicate and Scholar are so strong right now, but you're definitely guaranteed to hit a Warwick 3-star and a Quinn 3-star pretty much every game. So good top 4 comp, pretty safe, easy to play, fun to watch. Warwick kind of go crazy. Not super affected by the Challenger nerfs because 2 Challenger wasn't affected, and pretty big buff for the 5 Chem Tech because it evens you out, but it also allows you for the 3 Chem Tech that you'll be running early with just Warwick, Zac, and Lissandra, that you're going to be much stronger than you would have been with 3 Chem Tech previously. Next up, following along the Chem Tech, is with our Urgot build. This is the same exact Urgot build that has been strong since this set 6 came out. A lot of people have been running Shiv Last Whisper on Urgot now. Your Hurricane is a must for Urgot. If you don't get it, I wouldn't say you're guaranteed top 2. If you do get Hurricane, you're pretty close to guaranteed top 2, unless you're playing against a Mutant build, but that will change with the B patch. But yeah, so it's an expensive build. It caps out strong. But once you can hit your cap with this, you're pretty much guaranteed to steamroll the lobby. When you're playing early game and mid game, instead of going Tahm Kench, Jinx, Victor, you can go Singed, Trundle, Gangplank, or Kog'Maw as your twin shot, your 4th Bruiser, and your 5th Chem Tech. You can also back it down to 3 Chem Tech like we were doing earlier with the Lissandra, Zac, or Urgot, and then you play Vi, Alawi, Trundle as your front line. This is also a really comp to kind of transition into if you got a good Mercenaries early game. You can get your Mercenaries with your Alawi, get your 2-star Alawi. You also have your Gangplank in there, and whatever your 3rd Mercenary is going to be, which allows a really easy transition into having Gangplank for your twin shot, Alawi for your 4th Bruiser, and then you build around this Urgot. Urgot's also extremely strong to then break out of your loss streak with Mercenaries. So really strong build. Make sure you get a Hurricane. I like to start Bow and Chain with this because you need to stack Mundo, and Bow is very mandatory on Urgot. You pretty much always run 3 Bow items unless you're running a BT or a Hodge on him. But yeah, prioritize some Chem Tech augments or some healing augments, and you're pretty much squared away for a top 4 with Urgot. Scholars. Okay, so this build that I've got right now is a little confusing. This is being played a lot of different ways. The Bruiser, Enchanter, Socialite kind of Scholars I've seen being played decently enough. You see a lot of items on here because there's 2 carries that you can do with this, and I'm kind of confused, actually, at least personally, on which is stronger. I've seen both versions played. I see Prestivant playing with Lissandra carry, which is very strong. I've seen Ramblin and Soju play with the Heimerdinger carry, and that's also extremely strong. Regardless, you can also throw in those. If you throw in with Lissandra carry, which is how I built this originally, you can also get your 3 Chem Tech with a Bruiser frontline, stack Mundo as your defensive carry on there, and then stack your items on Lissandra. You can also go 6 Scholar with the Heimerdinger carry. You can do Sojin, Archangels, JG. You can also throw in a Giant Slayer in there, which is kind of mandatory, especially in the current place in the patch. And realistically, any of the comps that I have previously said, and all of the comps that I will next say, a Giant Slayer or a Last Whisper, if it's an AD comp, I'd say Last Whisper, Giant Slayer on every comp, is almost necessary to finish out your game for a top 2. But yeah, so Scholars is really strong. You can item carry on Heimerdinger with 4. You can push to 6 Scholar if you get a spat. If you don't get a spat, you can transition into 4 Scholar Victor carry, because Victor carry utilizes the Heimerdinger items. There's lots of different things you can do with this. It's a strong comp. It's hard to play, I'll give you that. This AP comp is hard to play. Your positioning is going to be very important. Socialite positioning is also very important for who you want to carry. If you've got Socialite in the mid 2 rows, dependent on where it is in the row, you want your Lissandra carrying. If it's in the back row, you can do Heimerdinger or Seraphine, and I've even seen Zyra be a carry. If it's a front row, probably don't play Scholars because you do need, your Socialite's kind of important for your Scholars build. So if it's a front row Socialite Hex, probably stick away from Scholars. You can try it, but I wouldn't recommend it. As for the items to start, go Tier, Rod, or Belt. Belt is important because you got your Morale-Nomicon, you got your Warmongs, you got your Redemption. Tier is pretty much a mandatory item in this comp. If you don't get Tiers, you don't play this comp. And Rod is the same exact as Tiers. You need a lot of Tiers, you need a lot of Rods to make this comp work. It's not impossible without a lot of them, but you definitely have to kind of alter your build a little bit. So definitely prio tier. And it's also really good where if you're gunning for Akali, you're building a lot of the same items with Akali, these scholars, with Victor. All of those can kind of flex between it, so you're not just pigeonholing yourself, which is why, if we go back to the Akali build, we're not slamming IE. IE slam on Akali pretty much forces you to either play Akali Carry or Assassin's Reroll, but going ahead and doing an Archangel slam really allows you to flex between all of these different comps. Anything you can put Victor in, put a Scholar in, you can even carry Seraphine in this. It's very strong as long as you don't pigeonhole yourself with an IE. Next up, we got the Lig Maw. Lig Maw is just as strong as it was, if not stronger. Everyone is playing Protector. You want to item stack your Kassadin, unless you get an early Kog'Maw, or not Kog'Maw, sorry, an early Cho'Gath, and then you can item stack your Cho'Gath because he is by far the strongest, most broken unit in the game right now. Protector Spat makes this a guaranteed first. If you have a Cho'Gath, you get some really strong items on Kassadin, Bramble. Warmongs can kind of be a bait. It depends on the lobby. Sometimes you need a Declaw. Sometimes you're better off just doing double redemption. And what you want to do, which is why we've got the items start as 2 defensive items as your first, it doesn't matter what you put on Kog'Maw. Kog'Maw's base damage is % health damage, so regardless of what you put on him, he is going to melt once you get him to 3 stars, especially if you have a good Mutant. So just stack defensive items on your Kassadin or your Cho'Gath, and you're pretty squared away. It's kind of easy as that. This is a really low brain power comp. Not saying the people who play it are dumb, but it doesn't take a lot of effort. You just kind of, you reroll, you want to win streak stage 2 into a slow roll on 5 until you can get your items, or get your units. You want your 2 stars on Kassadin, Graves, Garen, Kog'Maw. You want a 2-star Caitlyn, you don't want to go 3-star on her, sorry. But 3 stars, you want to go for a 3-star Kassadin, 3-star Kog'Maw, and then you can get 3-star both Graves and Garen, though getting only one of them 3 stars also works. The good thing about this is there is a plenty of units in this comp that are also in the pool. Like, you're never going to run into being contested so bad that you can't find your 3 stars. So this is actually a comp where I have seen plenty of lobbies where 2 have gone top 4 with 3-star Kassadin, Garen, Kog'Maw, and it just kind of, it works. That's all you need. You can also pivot into the Mutant comp, which I think is next up, which kind of equals on the strength of Kog'Maw, the tankiness of Mutants, and really get you to win that game. Yeah, so Mutant is up next. This is a 6 Mutants, only says 6 Mutants because I prefer this comp if you have a Mutant Spat. It allows you to kind of reduce one of these not so good units, whether it be Malzahar or Kassadin or Mundo in this case, but you want to stack your Cho'Gath with defensive items, and then you want to stack your Kog'Maw. Generally want to put Morellonomicon on Scion. It was left out on this view, but that's a good start. It makes a really good use of Morello because he gets everybody. This is currently the most broken comp in the game. I think from what Mortdog was saying in his one of his previous tweets is this has one of the largest expanding win rates with this Cho'Gath because they didn't realize that he wasn't being played as much. 2 costs were so strong, so 3 costs looked weak, and then once the 3 costs were buffed, they come to realize that Cho'Gath is by far the most dominant unit in the game. So this one will not be around very long. I think it will be a moderate enough nerf to make it a top 4, not a top 2 like it currently is. But yeah, so B patch that comes out, which I believe is Wednesday. I think that's the 14th. This is going to hit Cho'Gath as well as Akali, but this is something you can play this weekend going before Wednesday, and you're pretty guaranteed to top 4 every time you play it. I don't think I've played a game of Mutants with a Cho'Gath carry that I haven't top 4'd. And for the sniper buff on Kog'Maw, it can be Misfortune. I like her because she's just a strong unit. You can also do Caitlyn just like you do with the Lig Maw comp. You can pretty much flex the Lig Maw into Mutants if you get Cho'Gath early. You get Cho'Gath stage 2, you get enough feast stacks on him, and then you can get him 2 stars stage 3, roll on 6 and 7 once you've got your Kog'Maw. You are set to pretty much steamroll into a top 4. Other than that, these are kind of the strong comps. Go ahead and give them some tries. Pause where you see stuff that you might want to test out. some good streamers to kind of watch to see these comps. I've seen some really good gameplay for the Lig Maw comp from Kyun. Soju's been playing a lot of Akali, a lot of Lig Maw, a lot of Mutants. Milk has also been playing a lot of Mutants. And yeah, those are at least the ones that I've seen. I know everyone in that group, everyone in those challenger tiers have been touching these. I've seen some people playing Jhin, though I've not seen any uniform Jhin build that's strong. A lot of that is kind of high roll, get to your 9, cap out your board and win that way. There's some fun stuff this patch, I'll be honest. Backline Jace is cool, not seen it yet in the meta as a big piece, but I'm going to keep watching the challengers. I'm going to keep watching Strong Sexy, which, if you don't know, is rank balance between rank 1 and 2 Korea that does a lot of really interesting things with comps. And hopefully we'll be able to report back after B patch going into next weekend to kind of see what comps we can look forward to. After B patch, we're stuck for, if we're going into B patch on Wednesday, we'll have that as our patch until January, because this is a 4-week patch. So I'm sure we're gonna get a lot of meta movement. We're gonna kind of stabilize going into the end of next week, early the week after. So we'll get some good videos to review and get some good comps to kind of break down. Well, if y'all saw anything you liked, go ahead and try those comps out. Let me know in the comments below how you go. If it'll get you some free LP, go ahead and press that like button if you enjoyed. Press subscribe if you loved it, and I will see y'all later.